Wow. 2023, congratulations for still being alive right now. If you've made it this far, then you are an absolute star. I think you should give yourself a little pat on the back because life's got pretty crazy over the last couple of years, and if you're able to be here and still with a good sense of your own mental health, a good sense of your own identity and character, and are still moving and navigating through life, and you really should give yourself a lot of credit. Okay, let's start there. You're still up and running, you're still moving, you're still going forward, you're still managing to get through the motion of the oceans and the emotions of emotions. Give yourself a pat on the back, seriously. Like, I'm gonna give myself well done, Jesse. Still being alive. You lost your mind a bit, but you're still here. Fortunately, when we go on an exploratory course of realization within reality, that can lead us to become a bit crazy. Curiosity definitely did kill the cat, because curiosity and what it is we can explore within reality doesn't seem to end. It just seems to keep unfurling, keep growing, keep revealing more and more aspects of ourselves and our reality together. So the title of this video is ultimately how to not let your subconscious mind gain control over you, because when you allow your subconscious mind to gain control over you, you're allowing your subconscious reality to gain control over you. And your subconscious mind and your subconscious reality, in many cases, not all cases, but in some cases, are very similar and interlinked. The way in which it is that we perceive things subconsciously plays so many parts within our own mind and plays so many parts within our own life. Recently, I had been discussing how I developed a mild case of schizophrenia, which at first was something it's only been like 4 weeks or something. But basically, I learned a lot of stuff through going through some sense of schizophrenia, actually. And it's a bit hard to speak about, but I'm going to try to speak about it because I think that there's something awesome here to be learned, as fucked up as it is to say, but there is. I have to try make something great out of a really crappy situation. So to let you know, first of all, schizophrenia reminds me of our dreams, to be honest with you. Because when we go to dream, we end up in these immersive subconscious realities within our own mind, where we're experiencing things, having conversations, and whole entire realities are playing out inside of our mind as we go to sleep. Now, that reminds me of schizophrenia. I think what happens with schizophrenia after prolonged trauma in one's own brain, whether you're in a constant state of anxiety or stress, or fear or pain, you will develop a dissociative identity disorder. And what's interesting about this, because I've been observing it and studying schizophrenia through my own schizophrenia, because I don't believe psychiatry has all the answers, and I didn't want to go to a psychiatrist, but I had to figure out what was going on, because once you start hearing auditory hallucinations and shit, and you're hearing compelling conversations, it becomes extraordinarily hard in order to actually determine that these voices are actually coming from your own mind. They're manifestations of your own mind. And it's the same as in a dream. When we're in a dream and you're dreaming a dreamscape reality, it's often so immersive that it becomes quite difficult in order to basically figure out that we are actually in our own dream. And that all these people we're talking to in our dreams are in a way our own self and our own subconscious mind. So it's interesting, and the reason I figured that out is because I would hear these voices before sleeping, and then I would hear them in my dream during sleeping. And I've been studying dreams, and I was studying my own mind. And I realized, wow, if you have enough prolonged trauma that occurs and happens to yourself, what that can actually end up doing is it can actually bring this subconscious dream state reality into your waking state, and all of a sudden you will literally hear voices in your head. Like, you'll hear voices that are not your own, and because they're not your own, and because they're telling you the direct, diametrically opposed opposite of what you'd like to hear, it becomes exceedingly difficult in order to actually realize that first of all, you're wondering, like, where the fuck are these voices coming from? Whose voice are they? The spirits? How does reality work? But eventually, like, the key is you have to realize, like, these are somehow coming from my own mind, even though they don't sound like my voice, and even though they're telling me stuff that I'd never tell myself. But somehow I figured out that the dialogue and the conversations that were occurring and happening were somehow representative of my most inner and deepest subconscious fears. And so I liken that towards dreams as well, because if we are fixated on our fears within reality in our subconscious mind, our dreams will reflect that to us. Whether we're having nightmares or fantasies, it's really dependent upon what your subconscious state is entertaining and allowing you to completely and fully believe. So our subconscious mind, we have so many fears in which it is that we don't know about, that have been programmed into us from birth. Like, one of the things is like, God hates you. That's one of the things these voices were telling me, that God hates me and God's gonna beat me up and kill me and send me to hell or whatever. And you're hearing another voice telling you this. This is the thing. So it's fucking scary, because you're like seeing stuff and hearing stuff, and you're like, you don't know what's going on until you do a little bit of research, and you're like, oh, well, it's auditory and imaginative hallucinations, manifestations of my own mind. And it's so scary at the time, because you can't tell. You literally cannot tell. It becomes so difficult to tell where it's coming from because of how compelling and convincing these conversations and these voices are. But I noticed a theme occurring when paying attention to it. And you can too. Everyone has this voice in their own head. I just think that when you experience more than enough trauma, they freaking manifest into reality in a way in which can be quite frightening, or sometimes delightful. Well, there's nothing delightful about hearing that in your own head, I'm going to be very honest with you. And what I notice is that, in a way, everyone on earth actually has a mild case of schizophrenia. Because we have this negative voice inside of ourselves, always telling us the direct opposite of what it is we'd like to believe. Whether you're hearing it as your own voice, or whether you experience more than enough trauma for it to cause you to have a dissociative identity disorder, for you to manifest different voices and sounds and feelings in your body, on one level or another, extreme to less extreme, people on earth have somewhat of a fractured mind. We all do, because it's kind of hard not to, considering the state of earth, the state of survival here on earth, and the state of the many anxieties that happen to throw themselves towards us, and the many fears in which it is that we may have, whether it's fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of dying, there's so many fears, and all these fears sit in our subconscious mind. And for the most part, I think that this dialogue that happens within our own mind, that left and right brain, the left and right voice, or the one singular voice in which it is that you may have when you're speaking now, like I am, I think that we've all experiencing some form of bipolar disorder and schizophrenia on one level or another. And the schizophrenia, what I've noticed is that it basically occurs within telling you really negative things about yourself. So most people actually experience that on one level or another, funnily enough. Some people may not. Some people may have an absolutely happy disposition towards their life, but I think that we do have that one level or another. We have this voice inside of ourselves which is playing out our subconscious fears in our own mind, like telling you can do this, you can't do that, you can do this, you can't do that, you're good enough, you're not good enough, you're good enough, you're not good enough. Every human on earth is having that conversation with themselves one way or another. And I think that we owe it to ourselves in order to learn how to redirect that conversation in a way that basically suits what makes us feel good. Because every time that negative voice comes in your mind, it's quite simply just getting you to feel fearful and not good about yourself. So, naturally the antidote must be to counter it with a positive subconscious imagination, as opposed to allowing a negative subconscious imagination, in order to create these many subconscious dialogues within your own mind on different varying levels of intensity. So that's what I've noticed. We're living in this subconscious reality in our subconscious minds, and I feel like the more fear you give into, the more you give into your own subconscious fearful imaginings. And so I've had to look at this, and I've had to learn this in order to figure out how to get myself out of it. And I've had to realize that, well, if you got voices, or your own voice telling you a whole lot of negative stuff, then you need to change that to the most positive stuff you can possibly imagine. And I don't have a reason for you to believe in the most positive stuff ever, other than the fact that you deserve to. Why do you deserve to believe in all the most negative stuff that your subconscious can imagine? Can you actually give me a proper explanation or excuse to say why it is that you believe to be stuck within continual fearful subconscious imaginings? No, you can't. So can you give me a reason to not believe in continually positive and optimistic imaginings? You can't. So you might as well choose the positivity. You might as well choose the most extremely positive things within your own mind, within your own beliefs. And I believe somehow that our subconscious mind relates to our subconscious life. And we do have a subconscious life, because right now, if you're watching this video, you're conscious of me talking. You're conscious of your life, your family. But beyond that, everything's existing in your subconscious, because you're not aware of it. And because you're not aware of it, it provides room for your curiosity to explore all these possibilities of what it is that may be happening around you. Whether you're aware of it or not, your subconscious is, and your subconscious is imagining all these things all the time, whether you're aware of it or not, because our human minds are so damn advanced that we don't even realize on how many layers and levels and dimensions it is that we're actually happening to think, whether it may be in our awareness or not, consciously or unconsciously. And so that's what the subconscious mind is. It's just quite simply your unconscious mind. And your unconscious mind has been ultimately programmed by many layers and degrees of information and imagination that's been portrayed and presented before you, and has ultimately led you to imagining reality in all different cases and situations and circumstances. Whether you're watching a cartoon, whether you're reading a fantasy novel, whether you're watching the news, whether you're watching a movie, they're presenting to you imagination. And so as you're absorbing this imagination in your conscious waking state, you may just look at it as a movie or music, but your subconscious is absorbing that. And so what I've realized through being able to see how I developed a dissociative identity disorder, compartmentalization of personalities within my own consciousness, I had actually been able to realize, wow, how all these imaginings had created a multi-layered response towards how it was that I was happening to subconsciously interpret reality unbeknownst to me. Until eventually within my life I had explored many different outcomes and variables within trying to explain what reality is within regards to multiple different conspiracy stories, because that's what they are. Unless you've got direct evidence and proof to prove something to you, it ultimately is just speculation, and you have to ultimately remember that. And it's one of the biggest things you actually have to realize, is that there's a lot of people saying a lot of things, but unless you have your own proof, it's ultimately just speculation. And if we continually live within the realm of speculation, you're going to confuse and muddle your own mind. If you're continually speculating what people are thinking about you, speculating what's happening in the world, speculating conspiracies and whatever the fuck, without any direct evidence or proof, you're continually living within the imaginative realm of speculation. And that imaginative realm of speculation creates imaginative realm of you within your subconscious. Okay, because your consciousness is extremely rich, vast, and dynamic, and quite frankly unexplored and unbeknownst to us within regards to how exactly it happens to work. And so what it is that I've come to realize is that our subconscious mind is absorbing all sorts of things based on what it is we're focusing on. So your focus on what it is you're focusing on reality is excruciatingly important, and not only what you're focusing on, but what you're believing in. So, you have to spend time really being able to design your beliefs. But sometimes our fears have to be presented towards us in order for us to realize what fears it is that we happen to be holding on to, consciously or subconsciously. And most of the time, we have many unconscious fears that we have not faced and that we're not aware of. And sometimes in extreme cases, somebody may experience a prolonged trauma that may lead to a dissociative identity disorder and auditory hallucinations and visual hallucinations. And these fears will play out in real time. And so one of the things I noticed is that these auditory and visual hallucinations were responding towards my interpretation of what was actually happening. So if I was more immersed within the reality of this scary dialogue that was taking place in all shapes and forms, it would continue and it would exacerbate within my mind. But when I would change what I'd believe in and change how I'd look at the world, the hallucinations would change. Very much like a dream. You know, our dreams are entirely dependent upon what is occurring within our subconscious mind and what's being programmed into our subconscious mind thanks to our conscious belief systems and our conscious formulation of focus and intention within our own mind. The intention of what it is we intend to accept within our own self and our own reality. What do you intend to believe about yourself? What do you intend to believe about reality? This is ultimately formulating a extremely rich picture within your imaginative consciousness that will ultimately play out within your mind, and to the point where I think it actually formulates our behavioral patterns and the dialogue that takes place within our mind. So it's quite incredible to actually see how powerful our minds actually are, and you know how devastating they can be. Your mind can make you the greatest person ever, or it can make you the weakest person ever. It's ultimately coming down towards what it is that's taking place within your subconscious imaginings and realities. So on some level or another, we do have to become conscious of what the fuck scares us, and we have to face it. And sometimes we don't want to face it, and don't blame people for not wanting to face that, because it's quite scary to actually have to face the most deepest fears in which it is that we may have, that we may be unaware of or may not be aware of at all. And so this part of us that's not aware of the fear we have because we don't want to accept that is what's taking place in our subconscious mind and imagination. And if you notice it long enough, you'll see how it actually plays out within the algorithm of life, the algorithm of your own behavioral patterns, your own thought processes, and ultimately the many strange, mystical, and normal things that may take place within your life. So, on one hand, developing this disorder had freaked me the fuck out, but on another hand, it had given me an opportunity and a chance to study my own consciousness in a way in which it is that I've never been able to study it before. So, in developing a positive outlook towards it, I had managed to actually change this imaginative, it's your imagination ultimately. That's what's happening. Like if you break your brain and you develop schizophrenia, your imagination is going to play out in reality like a dream in realities, and then it becomes so damn compelling and convincing you can't tell what the hell's happening, and then it becomes very hard to eventually come to the realization that, oh well, this is quite potentially a manifestation in my own mind taking place, and nobody wants to have to admit to themselves that they have a disorder. And I didn't want to admit that to myself, although I had to, actually, after being tormented by my own mind and these manifested voices within my own mind, and actually taking place in reality, scaring the shit out of me, because it's one thing hearing voices, but when those voices are actually playing out in your reality, it gets really freaking freaky and scary. I've experienced the most absolutely terrifying shit ever. Like, you cannot believe. I don't even want to speak about them because it's just fucking too fucked up. Wow. And it scared the shit out of me. And eventually I was just like, I couldn't really tell the difference between reality and I was like, I really hope I have schizophrenia, because if I do, then this means all this shit that I'm seeing and hearing is not true. And so I had to realize that, and I'm going to tell you a couple things though. You know, number one rule to not losing your mind: don't talk to yourself in third person. Don't do that. Number one rule: believe in God and believe that you can be healed no matter what the case may be. And the third rule: make friends with that ugly little voice in your head, whether you're hearing it through your own voice, your own mind, your own self telling you, I'm good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm good enough, I'm not. Make friends with it. Come to peace with it. Manage it. And when you do that, you're going to start being able to manage your own subconscious mind. You're going to be able to start managing your own subconscious mind. You need to start learning how to tell yourself absolutely excruciatingly positive stuff. If your mind's telling you some negative shit, fuck, nope, don't believe that, negative, not true. You have to do it. You owe it to yourself. You have to fucking do it. Your mental health, your happiness, everything's dependent upon what it is that you're willing to believe in. And I don't have any fucking proof to tell you what it is you should believe in and what it is you shouldn't believe in, but I will tell you this: There's no reason for you not to believe in the most absolutely positive outcome and positive perspective of yourself, others, and life here on earth. Because if you don't, you're going to do the opposite. You're going to believe in all the most worst, ugly, horrible shit. And it's going to fucking cause your own trauma. And it's going to fucking break your mind down. And unfortunately, in extreme cases, it may, present to you what's been presented to me. Horrible situation and circumstance that's ultimately turned out in my favor, ultimately now giving me a chance to be able to study my subconscious mind in extremely deep layers. It therefore giving me an opportunity to rethread my own consciousness within regards to being able to choose what it is I want to fucking believe, no matter how crazy it is that it seems. So we believe all sorts of crazy shit all the time. Like, some of them may believe, oh, I'm going to hell, I'm going to suffer in eternal torment all the time. It's like, why? Why are you believing that? Those are one of the dialogues and conversations that are taking place within my own mind. Or you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that, you're not worthy. Oh, fuck, get rid of it. It's fucking pointless, it's bullshit, and there's absolutely no evidence to suggest that that's the fucking case. And if you're going to go ahead and live your life being a prisoner of your own mind, you shouldn't do that. You should love yourself. You should look after yourself. You should treat yourself like fucking divine royalty. And you should really, really be kind, loving, patient, and respectful with yourself as much as possible. Because you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to see the best in yourself. You owe it to yourself to see the best in yourself. And if you don't believe that, and you believe that this and that, you're just going to be damaging your own fucking mind. You're going to be damaging your own perspective. You're going to be damaging your own life, your own fucking relationships, the way in which it is that you relate to people, that you relate to yourself, the way in which it is you interpret the world. Don't do that. Don't do that. Why damage yourself? Why destroy yourself? Why let that negative voice in your mind keep telling you a whole lot of nonsense? Don't hate the negative voice. Rather become friends with it and rather work with it and consolidate it into one singular voice from the heart. Do that, guys, because if you're going to live in fear every single fucking day, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're going to keep looking down on yourself and others every single day, you're not going to be doing yourself any favors. If you're going to get paranoid about yourself, paranoid about reality, paranoid about everyone, because you're continually entertaining this negativity within your own mind, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're just not. No matter what's happened to you, no matter how people may have treated you, it doesn't matter. It just does not matter. Because ultimately that is not a true representation and reflection of who it is you are. Beautiful divine being made in the image of God. So you're going to have to start really being able to look at yourself in a really positive and divine and optimistic light. Because if you don't, your own mind's going to fucking destroy yourself and literally prevent you from living a reality of joy, happiness, wonder, and potentially fantasy. So I don't have a good enough reason to tell you, hey, well, this is why you should be positive. The only reason I have to tell you why you should be excruciatingly positive, which is weird, why would I use the word excruciating and positive in the same sentence? But the point that I'm trying to make is that, why not? Are you going to be negative? Are you going to be exceedingly negative and then destroy your own fucking mind and destroy your own disposition, your own emotional states, your own subconscious imaginings and mind? For what reason do you actually have to do that, other than the fact that you feel a compelling feeling within yourself every time some fearful imagining enters your mind and presents a feeling of fear and entices you to continue to believe in the convincing, compelling nature of fear generated and created within your own mind? Why? Just because you feel a little bit of fear does not mean the fear is real, guys. Fear, false evidence appearing real. It sounds fucking corny, but after everything I've been through, it is real as fuck. It's real. Sounds corny, but it's real. How do you know if it's a bullshit dream? How do you know if it's a bullshit thought? It's presenting you fear. It's presenting you fear. The ultimate challenge, the ultimate fight we have in this world is to fucking eliminate every single fucking fear in our mind. So on one hand, I'm grateful for this fucking extreme case of schizophrenia that developed within my own mind, because it presented to me different variable outcomes and simulations of fear within my own mind and waking and dream state. And I went through every single fucking fear imaginable as though it was actually happening right here, right fucking now. Fears I didn't even know I had. Fears that are so absolutely terrifying that I'm not even going to speak about it, because it's not going to do anyone any favors. It is so terrible. It's so terrifying. Maybe one day I will, if I'm ever on a platform enough to be able to use this to help people. but I don't think imagining that's gonna help people, because the shit I went through was so fucking terrifying. It was the scariest shit in the fucking world, and it played out in my reality. That's the crazy part. So, on the other hand, I feel like Ophiuchus, the serpent slayer, you know, the 13th constellation, with the guy that's got a snake wrapped around his arm because he's ultimately mastered his fear, or Krishna with the snake around his neck because he's ultimately mastered his fear. And that's what enlightenment requires. Enlightenment requires you to master your fucking fear. And sometimes we don't even know the fears we have, because our subconscious imaginings fucking got us somewhere stored away waiting for it to play out. Sometimes we don't even know the fear we have. And we live in this fear state, dude, and it causes us to do and say all sorts of shit, hide away in our shell, and not live this reality as much as we'd like to, because sometimes you may be paralyzed in fear, unable to move. What causes schizophrenia? Extreme paranoia and fucking fear. Do humans have schizophrenia? Yes, they do. On varying different levels and degrees. Some may not, if they've conquered and mastered every single one of their fears, but every single time a fear comes into your head, it is a small version of a dissociative identity disorder that is arguing with yourself, telling you reasons as to why you have a reason to be fearful or faithful. All that's happened to me is I've pushed that to the limit, and I've brain exploded literally, and I literally went into a multiverse of madness in my own mind and in reality. And the ultimate number one lesson I walked away with is that your fear is killing you. Your fear is fucking killing you, dude. So what do you do when reality gives you every single reason to be scared? You don't fucking believe it. That's what you do. You don't believe it. You do everything in your fucking power not to fucking believe in the fear that is being presented in your own fucking mind. That's what you do. What is the ultimate antidote towards unlimited fear? Unlimited faith. Faith is the ability to believe in something without having any evidence whatsoever. So is fear. It's just on the other end of the spectrum. Fear and faith are the same thing, because not really, but when you're imagining fearful shit in your own fucking mind, and imagining shit's gonna go wrong, imagining people hate you, imagining you're never gonna be happy, and this and that, and blah, 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 blah. You're having faith in shit that you've got no fucking evidence for whatsoever, that's ultimately being generated within your subconscious mind and playing out in your reality. And it sometimes sounds convincing and compelling. I don't want you to think you have schizophrenia. I don't think that, because I would never want anyone to go through this, okay? Are you fucking kidding me? No, thank you. I'd rather go through this just in order to help understand my mind and other people's minds without people having to go through this shit. But people do sometimes, in extreme cases of trauma, happen to go through this. So rather let me tell you now, so that you ultimately absolutely ensure that it never happens to you ever. Stop listening to the fearful fucking thought in your mind, no matter how convincing or compelling it is, and no matter how convincing or compelling your reality may present you with this idea and saying, yeah, you have a right to actually be fearful for that. That's something that is legitimately of your concern to be fearful of. So what do? It doesn't matter how convincing or compelling your reality is. It doesn't matter how convincing or compelling the fear that comes into your body is. It doesn't matter how convincing or compelling the thought within your mind is. It doesn't matter. The antidote is don't believe it. That's the fucking antidote. The antidote is believe the complete and total fucking opposite. I'm fine, I'm good, and imagine your reality as you wish to imagine it. Tell yourself you're beautiful, tell yourself you're handsome, you're pretty, you're amazing, you're gorgeous, shine, feel sexy. Tell yourself you're protected, tell yourself God's looking over you. Tell yourself you'll be happy, I am happy. Enjoy life for what it is as well. Don't fucking hate life either. Don't give yourself reasons to be like, oh, I hate my life, because no, fucking find a way to find more wow moments. That's what I call them, wow moments. There's moments where we're not in fear. There's moments where we're in a bit of wonder. We're in a bit of curiosity, and our life just becomes so goddamn cinematic in a moment that gets presented to us. and enriches our soul, enriches our spirit, and all of a sudden all the fear is gone, baby. It's a wow moment. We need more wow moments. But you're not going to get those wow moments if you're continually living in never-ending fear. It's not going to happen. So my antidote, solution to fear, guys, don't fucking believe that. Don't call it a stupid voice either, because you don't want to do that. It's your own voice. You need to be nice and loving at the same time. But don't listen to that voice that's a little bit confused and misguided, telling you all this nasty, horrible stuff about yourself. Don't do it, guys. Just don't fucking do it. Please, don't do it, because you don't have to go through what I went through. Don't do it. Paint a story. Write your own storybook. Write your own story. Create your own hero. Find some joy in the world. Find some joy in right now. Be appreciative for what you got. Be grateful for what you got. Because that's what's going to help you realize that on one level or another, most people are quite blessed. Look at all the good in your life, even if it's just the wind blowing. Be grateful for it. Even if it's some sand or dust under your feet, be grateful for it. Use whatever the fuck you can in order to realize that ultimately reality is not evil. And because reality is not evil, you don't need a reason to be so absolutely fearful about every damn thing that's presenting itself in front of you and inside of you. You owe it to yourself not to get stuck in fear, guys. Life begins when you figure out how to master all your fear. And sometimes that's scary, having to face them. But trust me, my friends, no matter what fear presents itself to you, you're still alive and you're still breathing. Be grateful for every damn breath, for every heartbeat, for every time you're able to feel calm, for every time you're able to lie down in a warm bed, for every time you're able to have a nice meal, for every time you're able to see someone around you and know you're not alone. Imagine love around you. Imagine love in the hearts of others. Imagine happy, positive relationships. Imagine you being happy and happy with other people. Don't imagine the opposite, guys. If you do that, you will kill yourself. Your own fear will kill you. Doesn't matter how convincing or compelling that little voice in your head is, don't fucking believe it. And forgive yourself, love yourself. Move on, move upwards. Why not? It was promised, was it not? So that's what I gotta say. Don't let your own mind destroy you. And if it does, forgive yourself. And know that you'll get through it. Because all reality is transitory. And nothing's permanent. What is permanent though are our hearts and our existence, on one level or another. But fear does not need to be permanent. Anxiety does not need to be permanent. Uncomfortability does not need to be permanent. And it never really is, it's transitory. Even paranoid schizophrenics find moments of relief and peace and bliss. Think about what I just said. It's only the fear that's holding you in the paranoia. It's only the fear that's holding you in a suspension of disbelief. Somehow it's so difficult for us to believe that we can be blessed and we can be looked after and we can be loved on levels and layers in which it is that are beyond our comprehension. And that's freaking beautiful. Think about this for a second. Every single snowflake is unique. Every single one. Well, how long has Earth been around? We don't really know, because I don't know how you carbon date 4 billion years ago, for starters. Somebody needs to educate me on that, to try to wrap my head around, can't figure it out. But check this out. That means for however long Earth's been around, every single snowflake for millions of years apparently has been absolutely unique. Every single human that's ever been alive has been absolutely unique. How the fuck do you explain that? Well, the only way I can explain that is through pure divinity and the grace of God. Never-ending variability of formlessness finding its way into form. This formlessness that exists within our heart, mind, imagination, and spirit, which are ultimately all one and the same thing. And I feel that when we master our fear, we begin to consolidate these beautiful multi-dimensional aspects of our own heart and spirit. At first, I was quite scared as to what was happening to me, but I'm starting to realize it just may be one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given. The ability to understand the deep layers of my own mind, even if that scared the living daylights out of me. Because all I happen to be seeing in order to try to resolve this and heal this within my own mind is the divinity and beauty of life, love, and God that exists all around me. That's what helped save me and get me out of this. Believing in goodness, believing in God, and goodness and God within my heart and the hearts of others. It saved me. Brought me closer to my family, my loved ones, myself, to God. My fears are going away now. I feel pretty good about that. And life seems to be getting pretty magical. Thankfully. We're either living in our greatest nightmare or our greatest fantasy. It just depends on what you're forcing into your own head, what you're allowing your head to force into you. My advice is master your subconscious mind, master your fear, and just believing that there's absolutely no reason to believe in it at all, no matter how compelling, convincing that voice in your head, the fear you may feel, or your reality may be telling you, nope, you have every reason to fear this. I'll just be like, fuck that, no I don't. Why? And so I went through every single fear imaginable beyond what I even possibly fathomed could even exist within my own mind. And now I have very little fear for this mortal world. Supernatural world, still dealing with that. But the mortal world, I got no fear. I'm ready to die. Although I know I won't die. I don't see how I can now though, because I feel like my subconscious mind was dictating what was happening in my subconscious reality. And now that I'm gaining control of the subconscious mind, I seem to be gaining control of my subconscious reality. And the more we eliminate these fears within our own mind, the more we eliminate the evidence, the compelling, convincing evidence within our life that suggests to us that here's the mirror showing you you need a reason to feel fearful. So I experienced things that really terrify the shit out of me, dudes. Oh fuck. Broke me. Had to lie in bed every day. Couldn't move. I was in so much antagonizing, fucking paralyzing fear and paranoia. I could not move. I couldn't move. After certain stuff happened to me, I could not move. The fear had stopped me from being able to move, being able to think, being able to talk, being able to look people in the face. It destroyed me. And it played out in my reality. It freaked me out. I didn't understand how reality worked. I didn't understand how my own mind and imagination worked. I had no idea. And so I believed any fearful thought that came into my mind, and as I believed it, it played out in my reality. And that's the epitome of a compelling, convincing nightmare taking place within your very reality. So I had to learn how to turn that tap off and stop focusing on these nightmarish imaginings. And I have to do everything in my power to imagine this beautiful fantasy-based reality. It may sound crazy to some people, but it's the thing that fucking saved my life. It's the thing that's got me moving, and the thing that's got me staying alive right now. So you need to learn how to speak to yourself with love and respect, and you can't be so hard on yourself. You gotta be easy on yourself. You can't keep beating yourself up. You can't keep beating yourself up, guys. Why? Why would God want you to do that? Beat yourself up constantly. Being so hard on yourself all the time. Why? Most people on earth are most certainly not evil. They just are not. You know, most stuff just happens because people lose their fucking minds. What is evil? Evil is a fucking mental disease. Actually. There's nothing corpus mentis about evil. It's a mental fucking disease. It's the most excruciating form of survivalism that exists within the hearts of power-hungry men. Does it mean that it actually exists? No. What actually exists is a mentally ill world that's currently learning how to heal itself. Are most people evil? They are most certainly not. Are most people anxious and scared? Yeah, but I think less these days. I pray and I send love all over the place, and as I do that, I see people's disposition in their own heart become better and happier. That's one of the things I had to do when I was going through this multiverse of madness in my own mind, in order to not feel so alienated around the people I loved, and not see the anxiety manifest and take place within their own hearts. I had to send love. And as I did that, I watched everything change, and I watched people become happier and calmer, nicer and more loving and more comfortable and more sociable, including myself. And then I looked at love in this entirely new way, and I saw how our love in our heart actually interacts with the world around us. And there we go, yet some more evidence of how our subconscious heart and mind interacts with the world around us. So I do it every day, and as I do it, I see people become happier, more joyful, less fights and less arguments. Less arguments within my own damn mind. Less arguments within the minds of others. Less arguments amongst other people. And I pray for all sorts of things, for people to be happy, loving, accept themselves. I want to be around happy, healthy people that love themselves. Who doesn't? Who does not? Because ultimately the world reflects your heart. Our hearts can grow cold because we don't realize how powerful love is. But Jesus taught that. Love, 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 love. That was the message, dude. People don't want to believe in him, and it's like, why? How can you not believe in him? Are you hearing what this guy is saying? And then in order to save my own life, I had to follow what Jesus was saying and apply it in my own life. And it saved me, dude. Fuck. It saved me. It's saving me in so many ways, in ways in which it is that I don't even fully understand or comprehend right now. So I'm going to keep doing that. Because it feels great as well, It's, when you send love, you feel love. Feeling love is amazing. And seeing love within other people is amazing too. Because when you see love in other people's hearts and in their interactions, it makes you feel love within your own heart. And love is ultimately the key to happiness, the key to harmony, the key to stability, the key to joy, great conversations and positive interactions. It's been a very humbling and humiliating experience. But life can only be humiliating if you feel humiliated. If you don't feel humiliated, then life's not humiliating. Think about what I just said. If you've ever felt humiliated in your life before, it only feels humiliating because you felt humiliated. But if you stop feeling humiliated, then it's no longer humiliation. There's something very humbling about that helps keep our ego in check. Because the only thing that gets people to have an ego is fear of humiliation. How funny is that? How weird is that? The only thing that gets people to have an ego is ultimately fear of humiliation. That's what causes people to have an ego. Fear of humiliation because of other fears, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of not fitting in. But I think we're looking at it the wrong way. We're looking at it the wrong way. It shouldn't be, oh, we're scared to be rejected. It should be like, because, you know, when you're fearing abandonment and rejection, you're imagining it and then you're creating it. So you need to just send love, dude, and imagine like everyone loves me, I love everyone, we're all good. Try it, trust me, try it, see what happens in your reality. And imagine that love, pray it forth, pray it forward, and pray. Pray it forward. Imagine it. And just watch how your love can help the flowers in the hearts of others blossom like never before. You're only going to find out if you try it for yourself. That's the only way. And you'll be so delightfully surprised. It's just unbelievable how surprised you will be. Send love and see what it does. It's fucking powerful and it's beautiful. It's harmonious and divine. And it feels amazing. You don't need to... Let me just say two things here. You don't need to receive love in order to feel love. But you also need to be able to realize that people do love you. They spend time around you, they talk to you, they have a conversation with you. Whether they know it or not, it's a feeling of familiarity and likeness within their hearts. There is a sense of love there, no matter how much it may be cloaked or layered. There's love there. But if you don't feel so much love, then project it forward. Imagine love within the hearts of others and then see what happens in your reality. You'll see people smile and be happy and sing and chirp and dance. So I learned a lot of lessons going through this. Feeling a lot more confident and comfortable with myself. How I'm growing, what I'm learning. Who I'm becoming, even though I still have these voices ringing around in my fucking head sometimes. Not gonna lie to you. At first it would have been a scary thought to tell people, oh, I hear voices, and it's humiliating. But as I said, in order to be humiliated, you must feel humiliation. And if you feel humiliation, then you're not seeing it the other way. You're not giving yourself love and being like, I don't need a reason to feel humiliated right now. Like, I'm doing the best I can, just like everyone else. You know, I love myself. And no matter what happens, no matter what anyone says, enjoy it, laugh, and realize that it's not always what we think it is. Our imagination and our subconscious minds tends to interpret reality incorrectly a lot of the time. And assumptions, my friends, are most certainly dangerous. They can be. They can lead you down all sorts of rabbit holes in your own mind that create and contextualize whole entire narratives within your own subconscious mind that, under extreme levels of trauma and etc., can, in my case, create a dissociative identity disorder where I'm literally hearing this voice going, I'm like, shut the fuck up. But it's helped me eliminate fear, which is the crazy part. How funny that developing schizophrenia has helped me eliminate and master all my fear. What a paradoxical conundrum. You gotta learn how to take a seemingly terrible situation and be so utterly fucking positive and optimistic and faithful that you turn it into the most positive situation ever. That's what you gotta learn. That's my message here. Master your fear, master your subconscious. That's my message here. I don't have any other message. So I hope this helps, and I love you a lot, and sorry for the latency within video releases, Patreon, but I love you guys a lot. Thanks for dealing with all my madness and craziness and the search for truth and curiosity. You must still remember, I do want to see a positive, happy world, but I needed to save myself first before I could actually focus on helping anybody else. And that's what everyone has to realize. Like, if you're hell-bent on focusing on helping others, like, you first got to help yourself, guys. And the best way to help yourself is to start being your own best friend and love yourself. And then when you do that, you'll learn to love others. Because when you start to learn to love yourself, you'll learn to realize, you'll learn to not assume the worst about other people and what it is they may be thinking about you. Because when you've got a poor self-image, your assumptions of what it is that people may be perceiving of you will be completely and utterly incorrect. Realize that. That your own perception of yourself is determining, go away, fly, is determining how people perceive you. How crazy is that? So most of the time we have these interactions where people feel a bit awkward and whatever the case may be, and then we assume there's something wrong with us, and then we go into these assumptions, create a narrative within our own mind, and we become fearful and horrid towards ourselves and others, and we don't realize that is all in our imagination, what it is we were assuming that was actually affecting and creating the interactions in which it is that we were happening to have. And we begin to think all these horrible things about ourselves. And when you think of horrible things about yourself, then you think that people may think those horrible things about you too. And then that's going to formulate how you interact with people, how you're going to energetically align with people and harmonize with the energies of people around you. That's what it's going to do. So you need to make good assumptions and not bad ones. If you're going to assume shit, assume the best fucking thing possible. Don't assume the worst thing possible. Assumptions are dangerous if you assume the worst shit all the fucking time. Assumptions are fucking absolutely amazing and delightful if you assume the best things all the time. About yourself, most importantly, it has to start with yourself. You have to work on your self-image. It's not just like some vanity and ego thing, like, oh, you got to have a good self-image. No, you have to have a good self-image, because if you don't, dude, your subconscious mind's going to fucking ruin your fucking reality for you. I'm telling you right now. You owe it to yourself not to allow your own subconscious mind and your own fears and your own negative, fearful assumptions and imaginings to ruin your fucking reality. Don't you? Yes, you do. So, that's my message. I feel better. Mind's healing. I wonder how long it will take before these voices go the fuck away forever. Pray to God all the time. And yeah, that's where I'm at. Sending lots of love to you guys and everyone around the world. And I hope you don't think I'm totally crazy. I am obviously crazy. But there's sanity within my insanity. Although I'm tired of being insane, to be completely honest with you. But at least my insanity led me towards mastering all my fear. I mean, most of it. That's good. You know. You gotta start telling yourself you love yourself so much. You have to tell yourself that, guys. I love myself so much. I love myself so much. How the fuck can you not love yourself? Without you, you would not be able to perceive existence or reality. You're rejecting the greatest gift God gave you, which is you. Before anything else God gave you. God gave you you and your own life. So you have to be able to say, I love myself. Think about how weird what it is I'm telling you to say. I may say, I love myself. People will be like, oh, he's a narcissist, he's an egoist. How can he tell himself to do that? Think about how mentally disturbing that is. We're conditioned to fucking hate ourselves. So much so that we're so alienated from the idea of telling ourselves that we're beautiful, that we're amazing, that we love ourselves. Think about what I'm saying. Think about what the fuck it is I'm saying. Think about what I'm saying. We've been conditioned to hate ourselves. That's what's happened. Society and everything and reality. Hey, it's okay, Mr. Dude. Go. We have been absolutely conditioned to ultimately hate ourselves. So that when someone tells you that, hey, it's okay to tell yourself that you love yourself, people are like, oh, that's so weird. Oh, I'm being narcissistic. Oh, I'm being egoistic. It's like, no, you're not. What you're doing is appreciating the greatest gift you were given, which is your own existence, right? Before anything else. Because if you don't have existence, how are you supposed to experience anything else within existence without you first existing to begin with? So the number one most amazing gift that God gave you is you. So you have to be able to learn how to appreciate, respect, and love that. And you're going to have to start learning how to tell yourself every now and again that I love myself, to the point that you actually feel it and believe it. Because if you don't do that, you're going to find every single reason to hate yourself. You're going to find every single reason to hate yourself. And my whole question is why? Why do you want to hate yourself? Let me ask you a question. Do you hate yourself? Most people will be like, no, I don't hate myself. And then I'll be like, do you love yourself? Got you. So, start telling yourself that. And start feeling it deep within your heart. I love myself. I'm a good man or a good woman. I'm happy, positive. I'm joyous, I'm bearable. Not unbearable, I'm bearable. You gotta start telling yourself the shit that you're not used to hearing in reality. That you're not used to hearing in your own mind. You gotta start telling yourself that shit. You owe it to yourself. What? You owe it to yourself, guys. And when you can learn to love yourself, you'll learn to love other people so much more. How beautiful is that? Be comfortable with yourself. Love your flaws. Accept them, embrace them. Stop hating everything about yourself. And you'll begin to glow. You know, right now I look like a dusty old man. But when I actually feel in love with myself, in love with others, in love with the world, I glow. Bright. Shiny. As are we all. And I see how we fluctuate through these things within our life and our reality. We fluctuate through security, insecurity, and that manifest in our life in all sorts of ways. How we relate to people, how we look at ourselves, whether we're glowing, whether we're not glowing. Our health, our well-being, whether we're feeling sick or healthy. And it's all taking place in your mind. So make your mind your own greatest friend instead of your own worst enemy. No matter how negative those negative little Nancy voices in your mind happen to be. Amazing, I never thought I'd get schizophrenia. I never did. I never did. I never thought I'd experience the things I experienced. Never did. And I'm starting to believe all my fear led up to this, because the only thing I can actually see that created all of this was fear. And that's why my message is, and always will be, get rid of your fear. Master it. Imagine that, I'm like, I love myself, but I'm scared of like, oh, I'm scared what people may think of me. I'm scared of what people may think of myself. I'm scared what God may think of me. Fear. False evidence appearing real. Imagine living a life with no fear. With no guilt, shame, or remorse. You know, people can feel guilty about things they haven't even done. How crazy is that? Feeling guilty about things you haven't even done. That's how crazy fear is, guys. You fuck with your head so bad, dude. To the point that it creates multiple voices in your own fucking mind. Shit's bad, bro. You get rid of it. So I feel happy. I don't know how long it's going to take to heal. Getting this stuff, risky remedy, just to help me relax. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate it. Love you a lot. Suitable for vegetarians. Hey, that's me. So that's my message. Like, what are you going to do? Like, live in fear? Be uncomfortable? Even when you are in fear, reality is still somewhat entertaining. Your mind's still entertaining your own self. Even when you're in fear, your mind's entertaining your own self. And so it wasn't really as bad as you thought it was it? It wasn't. Most of the time we fear so many things happening and they never happen. That's what extreme paranoia taught me. Is that I feared the most incredible shit ever. And it seemed like it was happening, but it never happened. It just never happened. I feared the most excruciating things in the whole wide world. And you know what, guys? It just never happened. And now I'm starting to realize how nonsense and bullshit fear really is. Think about it. Yes, a couple of your fears may happen in your life. But how many fears do you actually have? And how many times have you had a fearful thought? And like thousands and millions of times. And how many times have you, as they actually happened? Percentage ratio, I don't know, 9 to 1, maybe less than that. And that's like your own life and God showing you that, dude, you got no reason to be so fearful. So yeah, think about it. Think about what the fuck I'm saying to you. How many times have you had a fearful thought in your head? Or how many times has that fearful thought happened? It's a low ratio, guys. And you know what that tells me? Fear is a lot of nonsense. The ultimate lesson and test in here on earth is mastering your fear by eliminating it with faith. Faith in yourself, faith in God, faith in love, faith in happiness, faith in positivity, optimism, fantasy, romance, excitement, action, a little bit of drama. Faith in beauty in yourself, faith in beauty in others. Faith in salvation, faith in life, faith in eternity, faith in heaven. First seek thy kingdom of heaven, my child. That's a really good advice. I mean, really good advice, because most of the time we're imagining hell. And then therefore we experience hell within us. And then we're like, oh, I don't want to imagine heaven because I'm not so used to that idea. Don't really know what that would even look like to begin with. And therefore, such a beautiful verse within the Bible teaches you how to use your imagination correctly. Imagine the most beautiful, positive and amazing outcome for yourself and all life and all reality. Do you realize how much it heals the brain, how much it heals the mind, how much it heals the dialogue and discourse taking place within your own thoughts? It heals it beyond belief, beyond conception. First seek the Lord with all your heart. The Bible's quite a scary book, but I just look past all the scary stuff, which is helpful. Helped me realize that the Bible's an oscillation between faith and fear. Exactly like our own minds. Abandonment or salvation. An oscillation taking place within our own mind. An oscillation between faith and fear. That's why some parts of the Bible really scare you, and some parts of the Bible really make you feel so happy and hopeful and faithful. It's really almost like a mirror reflection of the mind of mankind. So what I do is I look, I don't skip past the fearful stuff. I do a lot of the time actually, but I just become less fearful of it, and I only believe the most faithful things in it. To be honest with you, that's what I do. I'm happy about that. Helped heal my mind. Helped heal my mind. And I finally got out of the nightmare. It's a long nightmare, guys. I was in a long nightmare. A long nightmare. I'm finally on the other side of that rainbow. Somewhere over the rainbow is where I currently am right now. Fortunately enough, with a lot less fear. I'm ready to die if I have to. Not fearful of death at all. Because the fears that I'd gone through were so insane. Tortured for all eternity. Ugh. I conquered that fear though. And now I know I'm ready for anything. So that's the end of this talk. Love you guys lots. Hope this helped. I'm sending lots of love and light to you. And keep well, joyous and happy.